Acharya Shankara crosses river Narmada and travels towards northern part of India, particularly to Kashi. When he reaches Kashi and is sitting beside river Ganga, an incident happens. कीलाल राशि युक्ता सा काशी क्षेत्रे तरंगिणी करद्वयेन निर्मात्री कमलपुष्प सेतुकम. Keelala means water. Keelala Rashi Yuktasa. She had abundant water. Kashi Kshetre Tarangini. She flows in Kashi, river Ganga. And she Karadvayena Nirmatri. I felt even river Ganga had two hands. So Karadvaya is two hands. From there she created Kamala Pushpa Setukam. She creates a bridge of lotus flowers. So what happens is when Shankaracharya is sitting on the banks of river Ganga, from the other side another sage crosses the river. And when he crosses the river, for each of his step, a lotus blooms. And he crosses the river, he bows down to Shankaracharya and becomes his disciple, who later gets known as Padmapadacharya. Padma is lotus, Pada is feet. And this blooming of lotus flower for every step on river Ganga is the reason to get that name. And from this poem, the Vyanjanas start coming in as the first letter. This is the first poem with Vyanjanas, and hence it took Ka, Kilala, Kashi, Kara, Kamala, these words. Shankaracharya continues his journey in Kashi. Now he is accompanied by new disciple Padmapadacharya also, and while he is walking, Khetakula Samutpannaha Khanditacharya Vithikam Khanidjnana Pradatasaha Khyata Panchaka Nayakaha. Kheta means low, ugly, bad, etc. Khetakula Samutpannaha, a person who came with such a family. The word actually is Chandala, and Chandala generally they are not that clean, and they have non-veg items with them. They have dogs accompanying with them. They are going to kill some animals for food. No hygiene. It all looks ugly. So a person with that kind of appearance, Khanditacharya Vithikam, he comes on the way of Lord Shankara, and it is said that Acharya Shankara, and it is said that Shankara Acharya asks him to give path to him because he is ugly, he doesn't appear to be civilized, and that person questions him why, etc. And the debate goes on for a while, and then Acharya Shankara realizes he is not an ordinary person, and he says, I want to learn from you, make me your disciple. And that is when that Chandala shows his real form, who is nothing but Lord Shankara himself, and gives lot of knowledge, which is Khanidjnana Pradata Saha. And then Shankaracharya composes a stotra called Manisha Panchakam. This is also called Advaita Panchakam because it is believed that entire essence of Advaita Tattva is present in this set of 5 poems or 5 verses. And Acharya Shankara praises Lord Shankara through the form of Manisha Panchaka, and that later becomes a golden book or golden set of knowledge for all of us to follow. Now, this is the second poem in the Vyanjana series, and I use the second Vyanjana, Kha, Khetakula, Khandita, Khanijnana, Khyata, etc. Then one day, गीताचार्यैकवारन्तु गाढचर्चामकुर्वत गुणावगुणतर्केण गृहीताद्वैतसम्पदाम्. Gitacharya here means Vedavyasa, and the idea is Maharshi Vedavyasa narrated entire Mahabharata to Lord Ganapa, and in that Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita is the part which is narrated by Krishna himself to Arjuna. Because it was narrated to Lord Ganesha by Vedavyasa, I use the word Gitacharya for Vedavyasa. Gitacharyaika Varantu, once Lord Vedavyasa or Maharshi Vedavyasa Gadha Charcham Akurvata, he debated for a prolonged time. Guna Vaguna Tarkena. So he debated with Shankaracharya a lot about Advaita Tattva, and he tat Gunava Gunatarkena Grahita Advaita Sampadam. He learnt about Advaita, he acknowledged this, and he embraced Advaita Tattva. So the story is Maharshi Vedavyasa meets Shankara and they debate about this for a few months. And I described this with the 15th poem, or using the third Vyanjana, which is Ga. So Gitacharya, Guna, Avaguna, Grahita, Gadha, these kind of words I used to begin every line of this poem. Shankaracharya continues his journey, and then he meets Kumarila Bhatta, who is actually going through a process called Prayaschitta by sitting in Tushagni. Tusha means husk, the outermost layer of paddy, and he compiles that and puts fire into it, and he enters inside it, and that's how he is burnt alive, and that is the form of prayaschitta for him. And Shankaracharya meets him, and this is described as Ghoragni घोराग्नि मध्यवासस्थः घृणिपूर्णं ददर्श च घन चिंतन कार्याय स्वत्प्रेक्षयत् गृहं तदा. Kumarila Bhatta himself is a very well versed person, and Shankaracharya wanted to debate about Advaita Tattva with him. However, because he is in Prayaschitta, he can't do that, and he sends Shankaracharya to his student Vandanam Mishra. And this entire meeting is described that way. Ghoragni Madhya Vasasthaha. Kumarila Bhatta is living inside that fire, or inside the Tushagni. Ghrinipuranam dadarshacha. Ghrani means bright or shining. So Acharya Shankara was shining with his knowledge. And Ghana Chintana Karyaya, to do lot of debate, he sends to his student Vandana Mishra. You probably noticed I used the next Vyanjana consonant Gha in that poem, Ghoragni, Ghana Chintana, etc. and that debate happens. It is said that initially when Shankara was or when Shankara assures group of Brahma, Vishnu and all gods that he will help to stabilize dharma on earth, he says he will take the form of Shankaracharya, and he asks other gods to take different forms in human beings and live in different parts of India. And it is said that Mandana Mishra and his wife Uma Bharati, they are nothing but Lord Brahma and Saraswati themselves. And Mandana Mishra was the student of Kumarila Bhatta, and Kumarila Bhatta sends Shankaracharya to Mandana Mishra's house. And it is described that Mandana Mishra and Shankaracharya, their debate was a very big event of the time. Even gods wanted to see that debate. Many people wanted to see that event, and it's like entire nature was thrilled to be part of that debate. And they keep Uma Bharati as the judge. And the story is Uma Bharati, she puts a garland of flowers on both Shankaracharya and Mandana Mishra, and the moment the garland loses its shine, that is when the winner would be declared. And after probably a prolonged period or after a long debate, the garland on Mandana Mishra loses its charm, loses its shine, and that is when Uma Bharati declares Shankaracharya as the winner. Later, Mandana Mishra becomes a disciple of Acharya Shankara, and Uma Bharati goes back to, who is nothing but Saraswati, she goes back to Satyaloka. And I describe this entire event as Chichakshu Sarva Suspashtaha Chatura Shishya Mandanaha Chaturthashrama Samsevya Chandramaulim Upasata. Chit Chakshu Sarva Suspashtaha. He got the entire knowledge from Shankaracharya, and now there is an absolute clarity in his mind, in his five senses and everywhere. And such Mandanaha becomes Shishya of Acharya Shankara. He is Chatura, of course. If he is not intelligent, he can't really do prolonged debate for months together with the Shankaracharya. Chaturthashrama Samsevya. It is said that Balya, Yauvana, Grahastha and Sannyasa. So these are like the four ashramas, and he takes the sannyasa, the last ever ashrama for a human being. Chandramaulim Upasata. Now this word Chandramauli means Shankara, and the word Shankara could mean here two things. One is Lord Shankara, or second one is Acharya Shankara, and we can take both of these meanings for the context of this poem. He becomes the disciple of Acharya Shankara, who also worships Lord Shankara. And here I use the next consonant, cha, and began all the four lines of this poem. Chit, Chakshu, Chatura, Chaturtha, Chandramauli. Shankaracharya continues his journey with Mandana Mishra and Padmapadacharya, and along with some more disciples. And one day he is sitting in a forest near a cave, and an incident happens. Chadmarupi Mahavishnu Chavikesara Sanyutaha Chandasa Muni Samrakshaha Churika Yukta Tantrina. Tantri means Kapalika, another word, which also means a hunter. A hunter had a knife, and he saw Shankaracharya sitting and meditating near a cave. And he tries to kill him using his knife. And that is when a big lion with shining mane, with shining mane attacks the hunter and saves Shankaracharya. It is said that Padmapadacharya prays Lord Vishnu to protect his guru Shankaracharya, and Vishnu himself takes this form of a lion and saves Shankara by killing the hunter. And here I use the next consonant, next Vyanjana, Cha, Chavi, Chadma, Churika, etc. Shankaracharya continues his journey now towards southern part of India, and the next incident is said to have occurred at the place called Kolluru in Karnataka, and it is Janma Mooka Manugrahya Jiva Jyotim Pradayakaha Jimutamrita Rashmiriva Lokotsaha Vardhitaha. Sorry. Janma Mookam, a boy who can't speak from birth. So there was a boy in Kolluru who couldn't speak from his birth, and Shankara, Acharya Shankara blesses him, and then that boy starts speaking. This boy later becomes a disciple of Lord Shankaracharya and called as Hasta Malakacharya. He even composes many stotras in his further life. And this entire incident appeared as if Jimutamrita Rashmi. Jimuta means cloud. Rashmi is the ray of hope, or it's the light ray. So we have a famous saying, every cloud has a silver lining. And that silver lining around the cloud is an inspiration, or it brings the happiness. It also indicates that the bad days are gone and the good days are coming ahead of us. So it's essentially a moment of spreading happiness. So I took the inspiration from that and wrote it as Jimutamrita Rashmihi Iva Lokotsaha Vardhitaha. He spread the happiness in the world very similar the way the silver lining of the cloud spreads happiness. Here I use the next consonant, Ja, Janma, Jimuta, etc. And here also I use this figure of speech, simile, by using the word Jimutamrita Rashmi Iva.